It was supposed to be just another cold morning ride to school in Ashland, Ohio. Jackets zipped up tight. Backpacks sitting on laps. The big yellow bus rumbled forward, just like it did every single weekday, carrying dozens of kids who were mostly half awake, thinking about nothing more than the day ahead. At the very front of the bus sat the driver, focused, steady, and trusted. And then, without any warning at all, something went terribly, terribly wrong. 8-year-old Katrina was sitting near the front when she noticed it first. The bus started to slow down in a really odd way. The engine was still humming, but the driver's posture had changed. Her head slumped forward. Her hands went completely slack on the steering wheel. Katrina stood up from her seat. "Are you okay?" she asked, her small voice cutting through the low hum of the bus. The driver didn't speak. She could barely even move. She just slowly, weakly shook her head no. In that single instant, Katrina realized this wasn't just a small problem. It was a full-blown emergency. The bus was still moving. It was rolling downhill, and it was full of children. Without screaming, without freezing in fear, Katrina did something absolutely remarkable. She reached forward with both of her small hands and pulled the parking brake as hard as she possibly could. With a sudden jerk, the bus shuddered to a stop. Behind her, confusion started to spread like a ripple. Kids began whispering. Some stood up to see what was happening. You could feel the panic hovering in the air, just waiting for a reason to explode. That's when Charlie, Katrina's 14-year-old brother, sprang into action. He rushed to the front of the bus, grabbed the radio, and pressed the button to speak. "This is the school bus," he said, forcing his voice to stay calm and steady. "Our driver needs help. She's not breathing right." He clearly gave their location. He didn't ramble or stumble over his words. He didn't panic. He spoke like someone who understood that every single second mattered. While Charlie was on the radio calling for help, other students stepped up too. They started guiding their classmates to stay seated, keeping the younger kids calm, and making sure no one ran or screamed or bolted out into danger. At the front of the bus, the driver was now unconscious. But the bus, thanks entirely to an 8-year-old's quick decision, was no longer a moving threat. Those minutes waiting for help must have felt like hours. Finally, the wail of sirens cut through the cold morning air. Emergency responders arrived to find a stopped bus, a group of shaken children, and a scene that could have been absolutely catastrophic, but wasn't. The driver was rushed to the hospital. Doctors would later say that without the children's incredibly quick actions, the outcome could have been far, far worse. She survived. And the kids? They went to school. Later that day, officials would call what happened heroic. News cameras would show the smiling siblings who just shrugged off all the praise. Teachers and parents would struggle to find the right words to describe just how close the day had come to disaster. But here's the simple truth. There was no training drill for this. There were no adult instructions shouted from the back. There was no time to think or make a plan. There was just an 8-year-old girl who noticed that something wasn't right. A teenager who knew how to use a radio. And a whole group of kids who, when faced with a crisis, chose calm over chaos. That morning, on that cold Ohio road, a school bus full of children didn't wait for heroes to arrive. They became them. Thanks for watching. If you were moved by this story, please like this video and subscribe for more incredible true stories.